I have such a special book to share with you today, and it goes perfectly with what we've been learning about with plants and our beautiful earth, and I really hope you enjoy it. This book is called If You Find a Rock, and it's written by Peggy Christian. If you find a rock, a nice, flat, rounded rock that sits just right in the crook of your finger, then you have a skipping rock. You toss it out in the water just so and see it trip across the surface, making a chain of spreading rings. Maybe you find a soft white rock, a rock that feels dusty in your fingers. Then you have a chalk rock, and you use it to make pictures on the pavement. Or you might find a big mossy rock by the side of a long, steep trail. Then you have a resting rock, and as you sit down, you feel the cool moss squish beneath you. Then again, you might find a rock with a stripe running all the way round it. Trace the line with your finger. It must circle all the way. You have a wishing rock, and you whisper what you want before you throw it. If you find a rock, a big rock, by the edge of the water, then you have found a splashing rock. When it hits the surface, the water jumps out of the way, raining back down on your outstretched hands. The bigger the rock, the wetter you get. Maybe you find a pile of small rounded pebbles. Then you have found sifting rocks, and you can scoop up a handful and let them slide slowly through your fingers. Or you might find a rock whose water-smooth surface catches your eye. If it feels easy in your hand when you rub it, then you have found a worry rock. You rub it between your fingers and your troubles are smoothed away. Then again, you might find a rock sitting in a grassy field. Push it over. You have found a hiding rock, and in the cool, dark underside live all kinds of things that creep and crawl and hide out of sight. If you find a rock, a great rock that towers over you, then you have found a climbing rock. Hold on with your toes and fingers. Grip as you stretch up and pull until you reach the top, where you feel much grander than you did on the ground. Maybe you will find a twisting line of rocks sticking up out of a creek. Then you have found crossing rocks, which wait to meet your feet as you pass over the water rushing away all around you. Or you might find a rock with a print of something else, a leaf or a shell. Then you have found a fossil rock, and you feel the shape of something that lived long, long ago when the rock was young. Then again, you could find a small rounded rock right in front of your toe as you go down the sidewalk. You have found a walking rock, and you kick it ahead of you and let it lead you home. If you find a rock that's not a skipping rock, or a chalk rock, or a resting rock, or a wishing rock, that's not a splashing rock, or a sifting rock, or a worry rock, or a hiding rock, that's not even a climbing rock, or a crossing rock, or a fossil rock, or a walking rock, but you like it anyway because it reminds you of a place, or a feeling, or someone important, then you have found a memory rock. And sometimes those are the best rocks of all. I hope you enjoyed this book. Today, you're going to have a chance to go on a rock hunt. And if you can't go today, then go sometime soon, because I bet you'll discover some really cool rocks. You're going to gather some rocks. I found these rocks on a trip that I went on, and I only saved the ones that I thought were the most special. Next, you're going to discover things about your rocks. Like, I remember that the story said, if you find a rock with a line around it, and it goes all the way around it like a circle, that is a wishing rock. I also found a skipping rock. The book said that a skipping rock should be flat and round, and it should fit in the crook of your finger, just like that. I also found a worry stone, or a thinking stone. If you notice, it has a bend right in the center. And when I lay my thumb right in that bend and rub back and forth, it's very smooth, and it definitely helps me to think. This rock looks like the moon. Look at all those craters. These rocks are so tiny and flat, and they're very smooth. I thought this rock was interesting, but not so much because of the way it looked on the top, but because when I flipped it over, I realized it had been broken open. And look, it looks like crystals. It could just be minerals. I'm not sure, but isn't that beautiful? Once you have your collection of rocks and you've chosen the ones that you think are the most special, you're going to make some rock creations. One creation you can make is to make a rock fossil. If one of these rocks were to get pressed into another rock, over time, it would make an imprint. I've got a rock here that has some points on it. I bet it would make a really cool imprint. I'm going to press it into my Play-Doh and pick it up. It looks like a shark's tooth. Here's a fun rock creation you could try. You could try to stack your rocks by balancing one rock on top of another. This requires a lot of patience. Another creation that you can make would be to paint a rock. This rock would be perfect for painting because it's smooth, which will make it easy to paint on, and it's flat, which won't rock back and forth when I'm trying to paint it. Some people like to paint rocks and then hide them for someone else to find. If you can't think of a rock creation, you can do some rock discovery. I think rocks look beautiful when they're wet, and they look so much different. Let's see how this rock looks. when I wet it. Let's see if the colors pop. Wow. I can see so many more colors now. Or how about this rock? It looks pretty ordinary. But when it's wet, ooh, that reminds me of a planet. Look how cool. Look at those swirly lines that I didn't see when it was dry. Here's another discovery you could try. You could see if your rocks sink or float. Remember this flat rock? It went straight to the bottom. Look at this teeny tiny rock. I wonder if that will float because it's so small. Straight to the bottom. And then my last two rocks. This one's pretty heavy. I think this one's going to sink. Kind of looks like another shark's tooth. Oh, that even made bubbles. Now this one has some holes in it. I'm gonna guess that that might float. It didn't. All of my rocks sank. If you find a rock, I wonder what you'll create or discover.